students, in this part we are going to discuss about sense organs. We will start with the human eye, the structure of human eye. So the structure of human eye shows three layers. The first layer is fibrous tunic, or it is also called as sclera. This fibrous tunic layer is made up of fibroelastic connective tissue with collagen fibers. Actually, it is this layer is made up of two layers. The first is sclerotic or scleroid layer, and the second is cornea. This scleroid layer is all of collagen fibers, and the cornea is a non-vascular layer, means it does not have blood vessels, and it is a transparent layer. So this scleroid layer and cornea together they make the fibrous tunic layer. Fibrous tunic layer, from outside it is covered with a transparent layer that is called as conjunctiva. The inflammation of this layer causes conjunctivitis. So it is covered with a transparent layer from the outside that is called as conjunctiva. This fibrous tunic layer, it is a complete layer. It covers the whole eyeball. That's why it is called as complete layer. And it maintains the shape and provides attachment surface to the muscles. This fibrous tunic layer, it maintains the shape of the eyeball, and it also provides the attachment for the muscles to the surface of the eye. It provides the attachment surface for the muscles of the eye. The second layer is vascular coat, or it is also called as uvea. It is an incomplete layer. It is made up of three parts. First is the choroid part. This innermost layer you see here, it is the red colored one, that is the choroid layer, or it is the choroid part of the uvea. And this choroid part is pigmented. It has a melanin pigment in it, and that's why it appears to be brown in color. The choroid layer, it has melanin pigment in it, and that's why it appears to be brown in color. The second part is ciliary part, and it has less pigments. It has circular and meridional muscles. So this part you see here bulging, that is the ciliary part of the uvea, and it has less pigment as compared to the choroid part, and it has circular and meridional muscles in it. The third part is the iridal part. It is non-pigmentous. It does not have any kind of pigment, and it has sphincter or dilator muscles. So this extensions you see here, this is the iridal part of uvea, red colored one. It is the iridal part of the uvea, and it has no pigmentation, and it has sphincter or dilator muscles. The third layer that we see is the retina. Retina is also an incomplete layer. The innermost layer, that is the retina. It also has three parts. The first is optical part, the inside part, the part from the inner side of the eyeball. That part is called as the optical part of the retina. This line, this is the optical part of the retina, and it has rod or cone cells in it. The second part is the ciliary part. Just like the ciliary part of uvea, there is an extension over here, that is the ciliary part of retina. It also has iridal part, just like the uvea. This extension part, this is the iridal part of the retina. So the iridal part of the uvea and the retina together they form iris. The iridal part of the retina and uvea together they form iris, and the ciliary part of the uvea and the retina together they form the ciliary body. The next is the lens. The lens is suspended by suspensory ligaments in the ciliary body, and it is biconvex. So this lens, it is suspended. These are the suspensory ligaments which hold the lens in this part, behind the suspension of the iris and this ciliary body. In between the iris and the ciliary body, the suspensory ligaments are there which hold the lens, and the lens is biconvex. It is suspended in the iris and the in between the iris and the ciliary body with the help of suspensory ligaments. So this is the structure of the eyeball. Now, due to this lens, the eye is divided into two parts. The part which is before the lens, this part, it has a fluid inside it, and this part is called as anterior chamber, and the part which is behind the lens is called as posterior chamber. The anterior chamber has a fluid inside it that is called as aqueous humor. The posterior chamber has vitreous humor inside it. So this is the structure of the eyeball. One more thing here, this is the optic nerve which arises from the eyeball. This area where the retina or the optical region of the retina is absent, this area is called as the blind spot. This area does not function for the perception of vision. Here, from this area, only this area of the optic nerve, this area does not involve in the perception of the vision. That's why it is called as blind spot. It does not involve in the perception because there is no optical layer found over here, or optical part is absent over here. So no light will be reflected from it. That we will learn in the working of the eye, or working of how the vision is converted, or how the vision is analyzed, and how we can see the objects, that we will see in the working part. But here, this part, it does not have the optical part of the retina, and that's why it is called as the blind spot, because it does not help in the perception of vision. So this is the structure of eyeball. It has a cornea. It has three layers. It has three layers. First layer is made up of fibrous connective tissue and collagen fibers, fibroelastic connective tissue and collagen fibers, and the cornea is non-vascular, no blood vessels, and it is transparent. It maintains the shape and provides attachment surface for the muscles. The second layer we saw, that is uvea. It is incomplete layer. It is made up of three parts: the choroid, the ciliary part, and the iridal part. Third layer we saw, that is, it is also an incomplete layer, that is retina. It is also made up of three parts: optical part, ciliary part, and iridal part. So the ciliary part of the uvea and ciliary part of the retina, together they form ciliary body. The iridal part of the uvea and the iridal part of the retina, together they form iris. And the lens is suspended in between the iris and the ciliary body, held together by suspensory ligaments. The lens is biconvex lens. And the optic nerve arises from the eyeball. The space from where the optic nerve arises, there is absence of optical part of the retina, and that's why it does not help in the perception of vision. That's why that spot or that space is called as blind spot. So as I said, the area where the optical part of the retina is absent, that area is called as the blind spot. Now here we have shown a little depression in the retina, in the optical part of the retina. That depression is called as fovea, and the area around that depression is called as the area centralis. This depression we have which we have drawn here, that depression is called as fovea, and the area which is there here, the area right in front of the lens, the opposite of the lens, that area is called as area centralis. Now this fovea is the area where the sharp daytime image is formed. The area here, the fovea region, here the sharp daytime images are formed. And the area of centralis, it is also called as the macula lutea. It is the area where only the cone cells are present. This area over here only cone cells are present. Then the canal of Shell, here at the junction of the cornea and the sclerotic layer, there is a canal. That canal is called as Canal of Shell. And this canal, it helps in the it helps to drain the aqueous humor from the anterior chamber. Here in the anterior chamber, we said that the liquid or fluid is there present, that is the aqueous humor. That liquid or that fluid, it provides the nourishment to the cornea and as well as to the lens, and it also exerts some pressure on the lens. And if this canal gets blocked, the canal of Shell, if this canal gets blocked, there is no way for the liquid to come out, and it will exert more pressure on the lens. And as it will exert the pressure on the lens, that pressure will affect on the retina. So this liquid or this fluid should be drained out from time to time, and this canal of Shell helps in drainage of the liquid, helps in draining the liquid or the aqueous humor. So this aqueous humor, it provides the nourishment to the cornea and the lens, and the canal of Shell, it helps to drain the aqueous humor from the anterior chamber. If the canal of the Shell gets blocked, it causes a condition that is called as glaucoma. The pressure is exerted on the lens and the condition is caused, that is called as glaucoma, and it can cause blindness also. So it can result into blindness. So the removal of this aqueous humor is very necessary from time to time, and Canal of Shell helps in the draining the aqueous humor. The next, that is the posterior part or posterior chamber, has another liquid or fluid that is called as vitreous humor. This vitreous humor provides nourishment to the retina, and it helps in maintaining the shape of the eyeball. So this vitreous humor, which is present over here inside, this vitreous humor, it provides the nourishment to the retina, and it also maintains the shape of the eyeball. The shape of the eyeball is maintained by two things: the outside layer, that is sclerotic layer or sclera, and the inner liquid, that is vitreous humor. And aqueous and vitreous humor are rich in vitamin C. These both fluids which are present, the anterior chamber consists of aqueous humor and the posterior chamber consists of vitreous humor. These two fluids, they are rich in vitamin C. Lens, it is made up of crystalline transparent protein which is surrounded by a transparent lens membrane or lens capsule. So the lens, it is made up of crystalline transparent proteins, and it is surrounded by a transparent membrane that is called as lens membrane, or it is also called as lens capsule. So as we said that this area of centralis, right in front of the lens, right in opposite of the lens, this area of centralis only has cone cells in it. Now, as we said, the retina has cone cells. The optical region or optical part of the retina has rod cells as well as cone cells. So how is the distribution of these cells? Here the area of centralis has only cone cells. This area is having only cone cells, but as we move towards the anterior part of the eye, towards the lens, as we move, the distribution of the cells is equal. Here in this part, the distribution of the rod and cone cells is equal. But as we move towards the lens, the amount of the cone cells decreases and the amount of rod cells increases. So here mostly rod cells are present near the area of lens or near the lens, mostly rod cells are present, and near the or in the area of centralis near the fovea, mostly or almost cone cells are present, and here in between the number of the cells is equalized, rod cells as well as the cone cells. So this is the structure of eye. We saw the outer layer, that is called as scleroted layer or sclera. It is a fibrous layer. It is made up of fibroelastic connective tissue with collagen fibers. The second layer is the uvea. It consists of three chambers or three parts. That is choroid part, choroid part, ciliary part, and iridal part. And the next layer, third layer, that is the retina. Retina also has three parts: the optical part, the inner side is the optical part, and the ciliary part and the iridal part. The ciliary part of the uvea and the retina together form the ciliary body, and ciliary body has two types of muscles, and the iridal part of the uvea and the retina together forms the iris, and iris also has two types of muscles. So the iris and the ciliary body, both of them have two types of muscles, and a transparent layer is covered, or a transparent layer covers the cornea. That transparent layer or membrane is called as conjunctiva. The inflammation of this membrane results in conjunctivitis. So this is the structure of eye. Also, the lens is held in between the iris and the ciliary body, suspended in it by the suspensory ligaments. And due to this lens, there are two chambers in the eye or eyeball. The anterior side is the anterior chamber and the posterior side is the posterior chamber. Anterior chamber consists of aqueous humor and posterior chamber consists of vitreous humor. Aqueous humor provides nourishment to the cornea and the lens, and the posterior liquid, that the vitreous humor, it provides the nourishment to the retina of the eye. And in the retina of the eye, there is a depression that is called as fovea. It only has cone cells in it, and it is responsible for the sharp day